This is chapter 13 of A Snicker of Magic. This book is written by Natalie Lloyd. And this is part 2 of chapter 13. Anyways, let's get into it. Bring your mama and sister back and let me feed y'all, she reminded me, and I promised I would. The door to her shop was propped open with an old book. Smells of sugar and cinnamon and caramel apples drifted into the streets, enveloping us in a warm haze of pure delight. Bet that's what heaven smells like, Jonah said. Ahem, I said. Hallelujah, hallelujah. I don't really know what that says. Anyways, Jonah agreed. I pulled out my blue book to collect the words. Ponder was sweeping up alongside all the dust and dirt and feathers around her door. Whimsy, wonder, celebration, sorrow. We're turning here, Felicity, Jonah said, and it's a good thing he told me, because I was concentrating so hard on my words that I might have kept on going. As we turned onto Second Street, I could hear the river gulping somewhere close by, and if I could hear the river, that meant we were close to the bridge that brought me into Midnight Gulch. The gallery's right up ahead, Jonah said. Have you seen it up close yet? No, I answered. My heart ached as if we walked towards the old building, but it looked even shadier up close than it did from far off. The paint was mostly chipped off the gallery wall, but not enough for me to tell what stone Weatherly had painted there 100 years ago. His painting was probably faded by now anyway. Time fades every picture, no matter how bright it is to start. The spray-painted words on the gallery still trembled and shivered like they didn't belong there, but today the words aren't the only things that looked out of place. A skinny woman sat on the sidewalk, her back against the gallery wall. She kept her knees pulled up against her chest and her eyes cast down. She kept an old canvas bag slumped on the ground beside her. I couldn't tell much about her face right then because all I could see was her hair, dark black and long, with yellow ribbons twisted through the braids close to her face. She held a cigarette loosely between her skinny fingers. Smoke circled off the tip of the rose up into the most extraordinary words: magnolia, starroot, dragon. Luminous memory. The silver bracelet along her arm jingled pretty as she lifted the cigarette to her mouth. That's when I first saw her face. It was as strange and pretty as her words had been. She was spellbinding. She must have noticed us right then, too. She smiled, starry white. Jonah Pickett, she rasped. How'd you know I'd be out here, honeybee? Florentine called me honey. Florentine calls me honeybee because my hair is blonde and prickly, Jonah said, and because you're so sweet, said the woman, who looked about the same age as my mama. They were both too young to have so much sadness caught in their eyes. How'd you know I was sitting here hoping for company? Jonah wheeled up beside Florentine. He pulled an icy pint of blackberry sunrise from his backpack. He grinned as he handed her the ice cream carton and a plastic spoon. The beetle knows everything. Florentine glanced at me. She glanced back at Jonah and raised an eyebrow. Pumpernickel? She asked. Jonah nodded. She knows. Does she know? Florentine drawled. This girl must be something special. Yes, Mama. Yes, ma'am. Jonah smiled at me. She sure is. The tips of my ears burned so hot I thought about running off to dunk my head in the river. Instead, I sat down on the sidewalk across from the starry-smiled stranger. You better tell me more about her then, said Florentine. Better tell me more about this pretty little girl you done told your pumpernickel secret to. She's my best friend, Felicity Pickle, Jonah said. Best friend, not just a friend. Best friend? Jonah said, best friend, not just a friend, a best friend. The friend word fluttered around between us, still squirmy and bug-legged. Now it had a set of golden wings. Jonah said to me, I wanted you to meet Florentine because she's a poet. A poet? No wonder she was a strange and starry-smiled kind of pretty. No wonder she was beautiful. Poets always are. I've been many other things too, Florentine said. I've been a laundry folder and a bread baker. I worked at a fish market on the Georgia coast. I flicked scales off them fish for so long that I still see words that way, shiny as scales, brittle as bones, and somehow, someday, somewhere along the way, she shrugged her shoulders. I became a poet. Felicity's a poet too, Jonah said softly. I'm not a poet. I gulped. I reached down to touch the fluffy crown of a dandelion blooming through a crack in the sidewalk. I made up silly little rhymes for my sister sometimes, but I'm not a poet. Jonah rolled his eyes. She's got stories worth telling, Florentine. She just doesn't believe it yet. You will, Florentine starry smiled at me. Then she chuckled. Don't matter anyway, if you do or if you don't. Stories aren't peaceful things. Stories don't care how shy you are. They don't care how insecure you are either. Stories find their own way out eventually. All you gotta do is turn 'em loose. I felt a chill twirl down my spine, all the way down to my toes, then back up to the tips of my ears. The same strange, cold feeling I had earlier pricked at my arms again. That stupid wind followed soon after, and I remembered Oliver's words as clearly as when he first spoke 'em. And then he told me the real story of the brothers Threadbare and why they quarreled, or who they quarreled over, I guess I should say. That's got nothing to do with me, my head said to my heart, but my heart disagreed. I shivered at the creepy wind chime sound. Florentine cocked her head ever so slightly to the side, looking at me. She'd noticed. And then she glanced down at the slouchy bag beside her. Florentine gently rested her hand on top of her traveling bag, As soon as she did, the wind chimes stopped. The cold feeling faded away, but I couldn't stop shivering. Thunder rolled low and steady across the sky. Storm must be coming soon, Jonah said. Florentine kept her eyes fixed on her traveling bag. Then she slowly looked back up at me. Storm's coming indeed, she said softly. I didn't say a word. I let my heart do all the talking. Yes, yes, yes. Better make yourself comfortable, Felicity Pickle, said Florentine. I've got a story worth telling. And then we're on chapter 14. But I'm going to stop it here, so thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Like, subscribe, do what you do, and goodbye!